podcast that you're about to listen to may or may not be a thorough waste of your time.
Well, hey there, happy innovators. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing well. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you said that you weren't doing so well because, the world is just going crazy right now. At least it seems that way, doesn't it? I mean, it just seems like maybe ever since Donald Trump was elected president of the United States for a second term, it seems like every day there's another thing happening somewhere. Some kind of trouble brewing somewhere. And honestly, I gotta say, I'm a bit disappointed with how things are going. There's a lot of good happening too, though. I mean, you gotta be fair and balanced in your thinking and in your opinions, but I see a lot of things, a lot of behavior that's really discouraging. And I guess over the past couple months I've had the inkling to sit down and do a podcast, but once I kind of get something together in my head to talk about, something else happens, So I guess really ever since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that was a pretty big one, I don't know about you guys, but there was something about the death of Charlie Kirk that affected me profoundly. Maybe it was the graphic nature of, watching him actually be shot on camera. That probably has a lot to do with it. But I can't really put my finger on exactly what it is or what it was about that event that hit me so hard, but maybe it was because I realized that with that event, it's kind of like symbolic that we have officially gone around the bend. Like we're not in Kansas anymore. And I don't know what the solutions to all the problems are, but something has got to change. Something's got to change. What that is, I don't know. I don't have all the answers or anything, but it seems to me that over the past maybe 5 or 10 years, there's been this climate of censorship, slowly emerging on the internet and with social media. And I've talked about that before, the idea, at least to me, like from where I'm sitting, censorship and First Amendment rights and all those kinds of things take precedence, like in my mind, in my political mind. Free speech is the cornerstone of our civilization, and I don't know, I guess I feel like anybody who's willing to censor anyone for saying anything or to stop or govern someone's speech in any way is the enemy, in my opinion. I mean, open and civil discourse is just so important to maintaining the social compact, and it's also a good exercise, I suppose, in patience, because while being free to say what you want to say, you also have to be tolerant to listen to what other people want to say, whether you like it or not. And I guess that's the point, right? Is like, if the only speech that's going to be allowed is what you want to hear or what you approve of, then what good is that? Like, who wants to live in a society like that? I don't, and I hope you don't. But I don't know, the way things are going right now, who knows what people are thinking and feeling? I don't know. I see all these kind of reaction videos of the Charlie Kirk assassination, and they're celebrating or whatever. And to me, it's kind of like when I watch something like that, well, one, I don't really care, you know. It's a show, you know, it's bullshit. It's somebody putting up a camera and trying to get, you know, views on TikTok or some stupid thing like that. So it doesn't mean anything to me. And it's also, I guess at the same time, kind of disappointing that people are, you know, either that cold-hearted or they're just like so into their building their, you know, social media presence that they're willing to say and do anything, you know, to get a reaction, to be shocking. And I don't know, I guess I'm just not really into that kind of stuff. I'm not really even sure who is, you know. I just find it really hard to believe that, you know, culture and civilization has really gone as far around the bend as, you know, is being portrayed on social media right now. I don't really believe it, that people would be that happy that someone was murdered. I don't think so. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm, you know, out of touch or whatever, which is highly possible, but I don't know. I mean, what kind of a person is really like happy when someone is murdered? You know, it's like, you've got to be kidding, you know? That's rock bottom. And there's probably a lot of people out there listening to this right now that are like, oh, you're so naive, you know? You don't know what's going on. But I do, okay? I do. I just, I guess maybe I don't, in the sense that I don't really have a social media presence anymore. I gave up on social media entirely about a year or two ago. I have nothing to do with it anymore. And for a whole host of reasons, you know, but mostly because it's a waste of time, and a lot of it is just bullshit. It's just hot air and filler and lies and things that are not true and things that are not real. And then now, of course, you know, with the advent of AI popping up and all that, that's a whole separate thing I've talked about before. You know, how things can be faked and all that. I mean, there's no way to really discern what is real and what isn't. You can't really tell. You can't really know. You can claim to know, but that's about it. And I certainly don't claim to know. And I don't really care to know. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, isn't it better to just turn all that stuff off and get into something real, tactile, like in your space, you know, engage. And, you know, that's pretty much what I do most of the time anyway, right? I make music all day, you know, or whatever's going on in my house or around my house, I have to do it, you know? So I try to keep my head out of the social media sphere. You know, it's toxic and stupid, and it's a waste of time. And I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You can be, you know, start out at 8 o'clock in the morning just wanting to watch a couple of things on YouTube, or, you know, doom scrolling, whatever they call it. And the next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock and the day is gone, and you spent the whole day screwing around, watching stupid things and listening to stupid people talk about how stupid things are. And the word is stupid. I mean, that's the word I would use. But I suppose that at this point, you know, we're in September 2025 now, and a lot of things are changing. A lot of things have changed. And while I think a lot of it is bullshit, I think there's a good percentage of it that's not. It's real change. Things are really changing. And I don't know. I think for me anyway, I don't know about you, but for me, I think it's like I'm opting out of a lot of it. You know, I'm interested in the Candace Owens thing. I think what she's got going is pretty interesting right now. I'm not quite sure where it's leading or where it's going to go, but I think that she's a pretty good journalist. I don't always like what she says or what she does, and I have my opinions about her when it comes to other topics, but when it comes to this Charlie Kirk thing, I think that she has a unique insight into that situation. And I didn't really like Charlie Kirk that much either. I mean, I didn't dislike him either. I just didn't pay any attention to what he was doing or saying. I guess I saw once in a while there would be a video of him talking somewhere, and I think I saw him like on Bill Maher's Club Random podcast, but I didn't really know too much about him. I guess I know more about Charlie Kirk now after he's been killed than I did before he was killed. So this idea that by killing him was going to like silence him or was going to shut the whole thing down, I don't know. I think it's gone the opposite direction of that, and the proof is in the pudding when I know more about Charlie Kirk now than I did before he was killed. It's a strange phenomenon, that burst of fame that comes when a great speaker or a great artist or a great musician or something passes away. All of a sudden people start combing through the back catalog, right? And I suppose that's in a lot of ways what's happening with Charlie Kirk right now. And while that may be the case, I at the same time have to express, because I think it would be intellectually dishonest to not mention that this kind of like co-opting of Charlie Kirk and everybody talking about how they knew him, and he was a messenger from God, and all those things. Hey, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but it just seems to me that there's like this tidal wave of hangers-on, sycophants, that people that are trying to capitalize off this situation in any way that they can, whether it's their YouTube channel or they know more about it than you do, and they're going to tell you something you don't know, or they're going to show you something you haven't seen. And a lot of that stuff I think is silly, and a lot of it is just a waste of time and bullshit. But there is a guy, his name is John Cullen. He puts out videos on YouTube. He's a pretty interesting character. And when that whole thing shook down with Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, the assassination attempt, this guy, John Cullen, was kind of really breaking it down, and getting into the details. Is a pretty interesting character. Like I said, pretty intelligent guy, and a little eccentric, which is fine by me. And he's been doing a deep dive into this whole Charlie Kirk thing too. And interestingly enough, he's finding some connections between Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and Charlie Kirk in Utah. And, I would recommend anybody check him out. John Cullen on YouTube. He's pretty interesting. He's got my ear, and so, like I said, so does Candace Owens. And typically I really don't like Candace Owens too much. I mean, there's a couple things about her that I can appreciate. She's spiritual. I think that she's beautiful. I think she's intelligent, but sometimes I think she tends to be like a little holier than thou, a little bit condescending to people, especially on certain topics and things like that. Like I disagree with that approach to things, doing a podcast myself, but in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, I guess her and Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson may be the only people that really know what they're talking about when it comes to Charlie Kirk. Of course, his wife and his family, they know him and all that too, but, Candace Owens has a pretty unique connection to Charlie Kirk, and I think it's legit. I think it's real. I don't think she's fabricating stories or, lies. And, the proof, I guess, is in the pudding with her channel. I mean, I watched in the matter of 4 days, she went from having 3 million subscribers to having like 5 million. I mean, it's just taking off. It's crazy because she knows what she's talking about. She has proof that she was close to Charlie Kirk, and everybody kind of knows that anyway, I guess, in that world. I wouldn't know for sure because I don't pay attention, like I said. But, I'm aware of these people. I'm aware of their presence online. That's how it goes a lot of the time with me. I don't know the names of people, and I don't watch a lot of that stuff. Like I kind of tune it out. I try to govern like what I take in and what I spend time on as much as I can. Not all the time, but most of the time. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about all of it. Why was somebody like Charlie Kirk murdered? There's a lot of people that, didn't like his message, but I don't know. There's a lot of people who don't like, a lot of other people's messages, and they don't get killed. So I'm not sure what's going on there. There's been rumors, one way or another about that, and I don't know. I don't want to get involved in, I don't really consider myself like in a position to really pass judgment on any of that stuff that's going on right now. I know that I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, I know I don't. And like, I wish that the world wasn't that way. I wish that the world was a little bit more like normal, like it was 10 years ago. Like, after a while, all this new stuff and the craziness and the levels of craziness that I see, it gets a little exhausting. Like, it would really just be refreshing to see people just be kind to each other, especially if they're on opposite sides of politics, But, as a wise man once said, you can shit in one hand and wish in the other and see which one fills up first. Unfortunately, it's true. But that doesn't mean we should stop trying, right? You gotta keep wishing and keep dreaming, and, the people that are like in the middle of all of it, they're not far right, they're not far left, they're kind of just trying to make ends meet, trying to live a life and have some fun once in a while. Like I've said 1,000 times on this podcast, it's like sitting here in the middle, watching all this stuff happen, watching all these things shake down in culture, the talking heads and the opinions and the conjecture and the theories and the conspiracies and all that stuff. It's fun, to a certain extent, but man, I gotta tell you, it's getting old fast. I'm starting to kind of tune out even more than I already had been, and trying to focus on things that are kind of like, in my space, Like, I bought this little hummingbird feeder, It's gonna sound funny, but I'm like 54 years old now, and I had never seen a hummingbird like in the wild, like in real life. I had seen them on TV and in books and all that kind of stuff, but I had never seen one in real life. And so my wife bought this hummingbird feeder, and it's absolutely amazing to me. I am shocked at these little birds and how small they are, first of all, and how fast their wings are flapping and how fast they move. And it's just kind of one of those things, like I said, abandoning or like foregoing the virtual whatever for like tactile things, playing more guitar and playing more, piano and keyboards, things that, putting my hands on things, and actually kind of getting back into the art and painting thing a little bit too, a little bit more than normal, because I'm rejecting a lot of the stuff that I see and that I hear, and it's not even like, my opinions or something. It's more like an overload. I'm hitting a point of overload on a lot of this stuff, and a lot of it is just a waste of time, including this podcast. You know what I mean? It's just, why would anybody really want to listen? I don't know. I mean, it's not an ocean of people, but there are some that want to hear it, I think. I hope. I don't know, though. I made those mic TVs, and I think I did like 4 new ones, and like as they went along, it seemed like the audience was tapering off, And I thought about it a lot, because I think that the mic TV idea is good. And, of course, if you're not familiar with that, you can go check it out on Rumble. Just type in Pipe Choir and you look up Mike TV, episode 9, 8, 7, and 6, I think, are the most recent ones, and maybe 10. I'm not sure where I left off, but my point was that, I kind of was wrestling with that idea, the Mike TV thing. I think there are some people that appreciate me talking over the music. I'm not quite sure, but I get the impression that from some people, or for some people, that aspect of it is what makes it kind of interesting to them, that I'm telling you the story and how this song, this video by this artist that I'm playing for you, like what it means to me, or why I like it, or when I first heard it, or, those kinds of things, conjecture and opinion, right? But there's a real part of me that thinks sometimes those videos would be better if I wasn't talking over them. And I wrestle with that, if I had my way, if I had my dithers, I wouldn't talk over them. But I'm not quite sure what to do with it. So it's at this stalemate right now, I have a couple more of those mic TVs lined up, and I usually do about 15 or 16 videos per mic TV episode, and I give my commentary over the songs and stuff. But I don't know, maybe you can tell me in the comments, is it something what would you rather see? Would you rather have mic TV be just videos without any talking, or maybe very minimal talking in between songs, and then you just watch videos that I personally curate? I don't know. Like I said, it's at a stalemate right now. It's hovering in limbo. So and I'm sure eventually I'll come to some conclusions, but in the meantime, honestly, I'm going to be spending a lot of my time just in my studio, making new music as usual. I have so many things that I'm working on right now. I have a new PC3 album that I'm working on right now. I'm working on a pipe choir album, a brand new pipe choir album. And I also have another album of remixes that I've been working on for the past couple of years. And it'll be released under Pipe Choir, but it's going to be kind of songs you've already heard before that I take another swing at, and just for my pleasure, just for my enjoyment, because I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I enjoy, taking an older song, and, especially if it was recorded a long time ago, I like to, reimagine it, or, make it better, at least what I think is better. And it's hit or miss. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes the original is better than the remake and all that, but I really enjoy that kind of stuff in my studio. So I have a whole album of those getting ready to come out. And of course, I'm still working on the videos for the American Dream album. And there's a reason why there's been a big break between the releasing of videos for that album. And you'll see why. in the next video. It's pretty cool. This idea that I had, and it kind of required me to let some time pass, a big gap of time in between videos. But I have like a whole thing mapped out for all those videos for the American Dream album. And I think my hope is that when it's all said and done, all the videos are done, I'll release them all in one continuous play, kind of almost like a documentary, or almost like a video album, where it'll go song to song, video to video, and they'll all kind of tell a story. That's kind of how it's working out. At least that's how it's working out right now. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, I'm always working on new things, but of course, summer comes around and the weather's great and there's things to do, and you want to be outside, at least I do, and not be in my studio all the time. I find myself I guess being more and more intrigued by things that are in my direct space, things that I can touch, things I can see, people that I can actually speak to in a room rather than speak to via the internet. I find myself heading more and more in that direction as the more time that goes by. Maybe you feel the same way. I don't know. Probably not. I'm probably pretty weird. Nobody really kind of... I'm one of the only people I know that doesn't have a smartphone and has kind of rejected the idea for, 20 years. It's like, I don't know. I don't feel that I want to be a part of that kind of thing anymore. I just don't. I don't mind the releasing music and podcasts and things. That's fun and all that. But, I kind of have, I suppose, in some ways, done everything technically the wrong way. I don't promote my music the way that other people do promote their music, and I suppose sometimes I think about it it might be a mistake, but other times I think it's I don't know, it's better to just drown out all the noise and the chaos and just kind of focus and do things my way, however strange they may seem to other people. Just kind of do my own thing. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about out there? You're a happy innovator, right? Do you do your own thing? Or are you one of those people that says you do your own thing, but you really don't? I don't know. I suppose I'm like that too sometimes. I don't know. That's what the name of this podcast should be. It should be I Don't Know. Because I don't know. Oh, speaking of the I don't know, man, Ozzy Osbourne died. Can you believe that? That sucked. I just did a Mike TV, the last one I did, and I had an Ozzy video in there, and I was talking about, someday we're going to find out this guy's not around anymore, and it's going to be really a sad day, and blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, it actually happened. 2 weeks after I released that podcast or something, it was what? And I'm not saying I was foretelling the death of Ozzy. It was just one of those weird coincidences. I guess everybody kind of knew he was sick for a long time. And, it was gonna happen, But it doesn't make it less sad, at least to me. I think that Ozzy Osbourne, as weird as he was or whatever, the Prince of Darkness or whatever, his voice was absolutely fantastic. And I think he had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rock and roll singing voice of all time. I mean, he just was fantastic. And I'm really kind of sad that he died. It's, a weird thing. I guess like now that I'm in my 50s, it's just coming to that realization that there's a lot of things, or a lot of like, staples of my childhood, or the institutions of my childhood, that kind of thing, that are, one by one, slowly disappearing. Like when George Harrison died, it was like a big deal. Like one of the Beatles died, now there's two left, Ringo and Paul. And then like, Eddie Van Halen died. And oh my gosh, he's been around, for so long, ever since I can remember, and the same with Neil Peart from Rush. He died too. Oh, Taylor Hawkins died. Oh my gosh, it's like, as time goes by, I guess all us old folks are just going to have to grow accustomed to this idea that a lot of what we're familiar with, or a lot of what we were, we grew up with, or whatever, is going to slowly start to disappear. And, Ozzy Osbourne was just one of those deaths, like a milestone to me. Like, man, things are really changing. Time is passing. And it's pretty intense sometimes when you really think about it. Getting older is a strange experience, don't you think? For all of you out there, like the passing of time, the passage of time, it's so unusual. Not quite what I had expected when I was younger, and certainly nobody really warned me or talked to me about any of it. You just have to wait for it to hit you in the face, and then you find out, then you figure it out. I would say that's kind of where I am right now. Definitely. As a lot of you already know, the past 5 years or 6 years, there's been a lot of change in my life, and I've lost a lot of people that were really important to me, and in some ways I'm still kind of dealing with all of that, especially with my friend that took his own life. It's something that really kind of I contend with a little more often than I would like to admit, and just worries me sometimes. I think about him and I miss him, and it's part of, I guess, being like like a tortured artist. You have to kind of mull over all that stuff, and it kind of moves around in your brain and it comes out some other way, and I don't know what I'm even saying, but you know what I mean. Dealing with things, dealing with loss like that, and change and those kinds of things, it doesn't get more difficult as you get older. I think it gets easier, but it's different. It's different. Things are different. Things change. People change. And I changed. I have. Which I'm proud of. And you should be too, when you change. It's good to not stay in one spot. It's good to kind of move around a little bit, at least intellectually, right? Keep yourself open to new things and new experiences, and kind of, a new outlook on things, So, my happy innovators, I guess this podcast is really kind of, maybe a thorough waste of your time, a thorough waste of mine. I just kind of wanted to put something up. I wanted to talk about the Charlie Kirk thing. I wanted to talk about all that stuff. But like after everybody else had already talked about it, and kind of, I had the chance to kind of sit back and watch things unfold. I didn't want to react to anything and just kind of think about it. And, I guess before I sign off for today, just, I wish all of you that are listening to this podcast right now, sincerely, I wish all of you like a really happy life. I want all of you to have a good life, and not too much turmoil and not too much trouble, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and the bottom of my soul, really. I mean that. I want people to be happy. I like when people are happy. I like when life is good, So I hope that that's your experience out there on the other side of the screen, all you that are listening, all 5 of you. And there's a couple people that have been listening to this podcast for a long time. And, when I don't release a podcast, they don't comment on much stuff. And I haven't been releasing a lot of stuff lately, and I miss those people. It's kind of a strange thing, but it's not even a dopamine fix. It's more like, I genuinely care about the people that I've been talking to for 5 years now, or 10 years with this podcast. So, I don't know. I love you all. I do. If I could meet each and every one of you, I would, and I would have the time of my life, each and every one of you, even the ones that don't like me too much. But I don't really get a whole lot of those, so that's good. Oh, anyway, my happy innovators, it was nice to just kind of put something out into the ether for you to listen to. And I'm still here, I'm just really busy and kind of keeping things on the down low, kind of spending a lot of time with myself, and reflecting on a lot of things, obviously. And hopefully you understand that, and you'll stay tuned for the next podcast, whenever that may be. It may be soon, it may not be, I don't know. I'll do a podcast when I want to, when I feel I need to do one. That's how I roll. At least lately. So, with all that, my happy innovators, stay safe out there. And if you want to keep what you've got to give it away. Take it easy, everybody. Okay, all you happy innovators, for all of you that were kind enough and generous enough with your time to stick around to the end of the podcast for some music. I had mentioned earlier in the podcast that I was working on an album that I was going to call For My Pleasure, like the remixes of songs that I've been working on. And I figured I would give you a sneak peek of some of that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the remix version of a song called The Moloko Lie. I released it on the PC1 Division album originally, I believe, and I thought that it was something I could take another swing at and really kind of make something special. So here you go. It's kind of a rough mix of it, I guess, but probably pretty close to finished. So without any further ado, Pipe Choir's The Moloko Lie. Check it out and tell me what you think. And until next time, have fun, be safe, and take care of yourselves out there. Peace out, everybody.
The way a woman does when dancing sets her free. She wore the world, she wore it tight, intoxicating energy. She asked to stay the night. bend between the hands of fate. And don't get me wrong, I have myself to blame. There's some things you can talk about and some you cannot say. I stayed until the dusk had turned to dawn, but I stayed too long. She took me in her arms and caution drifts away. I love you was all she had to say. I stayed until the right had turned to wrong.